everyone, this is Moxie Matt. Thanks for joining me on this episode of the Compact Coaster series. In this episode, we will be building this human cannon coaster with the American Arrow. Enjoy the video and be sure to check out the description for the link to the blueprint. Let's get this build started. As I mentioned on Twitter earlier this week, this plan was to do a zero-G roll over the station platform. So for this setup, I'm going to use the linear section of the map. So for this one, I wanted to do a shorter run with cars. I think maybe three will probably be about right. That length of station has 3 cars, so we'll go with that. And I'm going to go directly into the chain lift on this one. I'm trying to keep this ride really short. I think I want to have this one to be a nice, continually increasing angle on the chain lift. See, that's not very high, but we'll see if we can make that work. And so for this drop, I want to just do a 180 during the drop and be coming straight back towards the platform. And to do this, we're going to use the turning feature to roll the track over, not the banking feature. At first, when I was trying to build these sort of drops, I would always use the banking, and I couldn't get the drops to actually turn around properly. The same thing with some of the other inversions. So we're actually going to just turn this one around like that. I think that length is probably good. I'm going to extend the second piece since the coaster will be getting a little bit more speed. And I might add in a little bit of banking on this one and take away a little bit of the turn. And now it can start to straighten up. I'm coming in too steep here, but I'm gonna just roll with it and let the smooth tools afterwards kind of correct that. So I do want to make sure that I'm staying on the inside of the front of the station platform, since I was planning on doing some scenery blocks to try to draw out the cannon. I think there's a good angle we're coming at now, staying on the inside of that station platform. And since I'm going to use the smooth tools later for that sudden drop there, I'm going to kind of over exaggerate the ease on this next uphill slope. I do want to make sure I'm still coming straight. I'm going to go ahead and jump to the rolls and see where we're at, because I want to make sure I'm getting centered over the station here. So we might have to up our drop, since the smallest G roll is still too big. Of course, we could always go and make our own. Just gonna place this and start the test and see where we're at speed-wise. So it looks like we're dipping under 30. For this inversion, I'd like to keep at least 30 miles an hour, just to make sure the excitement stays up. But perhaps if we make our own, we can do more like an inline roll and get it closer to the station and kind of maybe add some effect that way. I'm going to go ahead and smooth this bit out, add a little bit of banking in. All right, now I feel like I'm at a better position to actually try to tackle this roll over the station. I'm going to turn snap on for this roll. And start at 45. Then I'm jump all the way to 135. And then my peak piece will kind of bridge the gap between the one side and the other. I'm going to shorten it up quite a bit. Oh, didn't quite turn that one over enough. There we go, now we're back to 45 on the other side. Then we'll go back to 0, 0, and stretch it out. So that should give us a nice even roll. Let's check it out. Felt like that one was pretty good. I think with some smoothing that will work just fine. And we check our speed. We're well over 30 going through there. I was thinking about adding trim brakes immediately after the roll, but I think for excitement purposes, we probably need to do one more feature. Alright, so we got a couple of dull moments there, and on such a short track, that can be a little concerning. So I think maybe after this we need to really just try to get up and into something as quick as we can. I was thinking about trying to do something short to get that airtime moment kind of thing in here. I do think that is looking fairly nice. I'm swinging a little bit wider than I wanted. I really wanted to stay within the station platform on both ends. But we'll check the excitement rating as it comes over. If the ratings are good, then we'll keep this feature. I would say that looks pretty solid. Perhaps we could actually just back it up a little bit and get into it a little sooner. Turn off that map. Get one more piece in there. Okay, that gets us heading back towards the station platform quite nicely. And we could add a couple block sections in there. And as long as the excitement's up on that portion, which it is up close to 9. So I think that is well worth keeping now. Add a short friction into a block section. And you've got to separate block sections by a regular path if you want it to be for 2 cars instead of just one. And I think I actually am going to work off the back of the path here. That's not what I wanted. A little dip there is good to have. Right, that did come in really quick, so I'm going to try to get that back piece to be trim brakes as well. Got both targets at 13. We want to up the release speed and acceleration on these block sections though. Alright, before we grab the results, I want to go ahead and just add the block section trains in, just so we don't get some false results. Alright, results are in. 6.3 excitement, 3.8 fear, and 1.5 nausea. And I think that's pretty good. And oh, it just dropped under 6 on the excitement. Let's see, maybe we can smooth some things out and maybe drop the nausea down a little bit. Let's check some of the maps and see where we're at with nausea. It's that back turn that's really getting us here. So perhaps if we stretch that back turn out, we can try to squeeze a little bit more excitement out of it, holding that negative G time a little bit, and then also lower the nausea some. I think that'll also bring down the fear a little bit. So before I start working on this back section, I'm going to turn the trim brakes into regular tracks so that way we can actually manipulate it. Which personally, I think that's just a shame that you can't manipulate the trim brake track with the smooth and after tools. But maybe in a future update, we'll have some sort of fix for that. Oh, since I blew up a car, they're stuck now because it won't finish the track. That's kind of funny. Alright, here we come. Make sure our excitement's still up in this section. And I'm going to check the vertical G's. So we might not actually be hitting a negative G there. I feel like we probably are at that very peak there, but it's just not showing. But look at that, brought down our nausea to 1 even, and did boost up our excitement to 6.7 until the last car comes around and it'll drop. 6.3 is what it dropped to, and 3.4 fear, so that's looking a little bit better. Now nausea is under 1. So perhaps we could stretch it just a hair more. And then we're getting a pretty rough G spot here at the bottom. So I might try to grab all those, just give it one click. Okay, so we are getting held up there. You saw at the top the chain lift. The cars are getting stuck waiting on the other cars to come in. So we're going to add a little block section in. It'd be risky to do it in the dip just in case one actually did get stuck there at some point somehow. It would never be able to finish the track. Preferably we could get it at the top of this back feature here. Just before we start banking in. Although that's just not going to be really possible. If we slowed the chain lift down, that would fix the problem. But I think if we just add a block section in the very, very back here, so that the moment it would hit it right there, we would be clear. So let's move that out. We're going to add in another block section and make it extremely short. And on this setting, we're going to turn our brake speeds all the way down just so that it doesn't really affect the ride too much. And we can move into trim brakes. Actually, I just have the block section just turn into the same settings as the trim brakes, so they'll kind of more act like trim brakes rather than a real block brake section. And now I'm going to speed this up so we can watch the cycle real quick. Just make sure we don't have any pauses. So it looks like we're pretty good there, and we've got a good flow of coasters going. Alright, and we made it to a silver coaster on this one. Just to remind you, the objectives on silver are at least 6 excitements, at most 6 fear, and most 4 nausea. To get to a gold star, we would have had to break 7 excitement, and I don't think that was going to happen with this layout on this coaster. I'm pretty pleased with the way it came out. I'm hoping with the scenery and the special effects with like the explosion going off, it'll really just add that little extra something that I had in mind for this coaster. Alright, and this is the final look of our coaster for this episode. Let's go place it in the Compact Coaster Series demo part to see an example of how it might look in a scenario. For this placement, I decided to add some of the tents from the medieval theme. It gives it sort of a circus feel. With guests actually riding the ride, it maintained a very smooth flow of guests getting on and off the coaster without any interruptions. That's all for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to drop me a comment down below and let me know how you like the series and this video. Hope you were able to take something away that you can apply to your parks. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of these episodes. See you all in the next video.